All right, check it out. This is the Torrent by Boom. So, does it live up to its name? Well, let's find out. All right, so there are good things and bad things about this. So, let's start off about what the package says about it. Some of what the package claims is accurate, and some of it I really don't think is. All right, so we're back. My battery died. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. All right, let's jump right into this thing. So this thing, first of all, when you turn it on, it has a voice that will let you know when it's connected via Bluetooth.
Power on. The Bluetooth device is ready to pair. The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
And it's pretty easy to connect. Every once in a while, you run into one of those speakers or headphones or just whatever that for some reason doesn't want to connect. This was not one of those. This connected very easily right away. This uses Bluetooth 5 according to the box. So when you turn it on, it connects and it flashes some colors on here. It's not in sync with the music, but it changes colors and it looks cool. Alright, so on the top you have your minus, which of course is to lower your volume. You have a play button. You have a plus button to raise your volume, of course. Then you have M, which is for mode, and we'll talk about the modes in just a second. And then you have a picture of an old school telephone receiver, one of those that you would see either on a desk or on a phone, the old landlines. And so that's a picture of that. That's to answer phone calls. But we'll talk about that too, because that is a negative of this thing. On the back, you have your USB port. This is USB-A to connect, say, a flash drive or something like that, and you can play music off of it. You also have your USB micro, which I wish this was USB Type C, but it's my USB micro, and it works just fine. That's just for charging. Then you have your switch to turn it on. You have, oh no, I'm sorry. You have your auxiliary port there first, and then you have your switch to turn it on. And then you have a spot for an micro SD card. So that's pretty cool. All right, so on the box, it points out that this thing has a built-in microphone and that you can take calls, hand-free calls. My experience has been with this that everybody says that they can barely hear me and it sounds like crap. So I would not use this as a speakerphone. If you're going to use this, I would expect to either turn it off or connect like your earbuds or something to use for your phone call. It also says on the box that it has an outside rubber coating. Um, it's It's a soft plastic, and there are two rubber feet, which I actually like the rubber feet, but the whole thing isn't rubber. It's got, this kind of like softer. Well, I don't know if I'd call it soft, but I like the feel of the plastic. It's not bad, but it's not entirely made of rubber. This is just 2 feet for the rubber, which is great. It works. One of the ways that this thing actually exceeds what is listed on the box is the distance. As you'll see later with the sound test, this thing with a clear line of sight will go much farther than the 32 feet that's quoted on the box. So this thing comes with an auxiliary wire, so you can plug it in and plug it into a headphone jack on your phone or an old iPod or whatever. It also comes with your USB mini cable to charge it with. As far as modes go, this thing also does have an FM radio mode, although, at least in my area, it doesn't seem to work the greatest. It does pick up some stations, but I think because it's an internal antenna, it just doesn't seem to work quite as well as I would like, and so I never actually use that. All right, let's talk about the battery, because the battery gets kind of weird. So the box claims that this has a 5-volt battery at 1200 milliamps. The box also claims that this thing takes 3 to 5 hours to charge, which is kind of weird because I have left this thing plugged in for more than 12 hours at a time to try to charge it. And for me, it never gets above 80. So it'll be charged up to 80% in less than an hour, and and then it's going to be it just sits there. It never goes up to 90 or above. Here's the next weird thing. The box claims 4 hours of playtime at 50% volume. I get I get double that. I get more than double that. And I've tried it more than once, even at higher volumes. So it's weird to me. But what happens also is that when I'm looking at the percentage on my phone of what battery this thing has left in it, as I said, it never charges up above where it says 80%, but it takes a long time for it to go back under 80%. And once it does, though, it starts going fairly quick. But like I said, this thing lasted me over 10 hours, just barely over 10 hours. That's a far cry from 4 hours. I don't understand where they got that. If that was a spec for an old prototype or what, but that has not been my experience. I also notice, depending on a part of a song, if there's a part of the song where it's not as loud, the the battery indicator will jump up higher, and then once the song gets loud again, it goes back down. So it might show 70%, and then it'll, once the song gets louder, it goes down to 65 or even less, and then it goes back up if the song gets quiet or it's between songs or something like that. So that's kind of interesting. So now for the most important part, in my opinion, because I just wanted to be able to listen to music. Is it a torrent or is it just a drizzle? Um, Personally, it sounds fairly loud. It's not super loud. You're not going to be knocking things off the wall with it. It doesn't sound as good as, let's say, the Ultimate Ears or one of those type of more expensive units. But for the $10 I paid for this, I'm pretty darn happy. So let's go ahead and compare the way this thing sounds in different environments and at different distances. So heads up, you might want to go ahead and turn your sound down a little bit. First, we'll just play it without recording it from the speaker. We'll just put it right directly into the video. So here you go. Next, we'll record that song from about a foot away at 50% volume, and here's what that sounds like.
Okay, that was half volume.
Next, we'll play that song and record it from the same distance, only at 100% volume. Next, let's take it outside and you can hear what it sounds like at different distances outside.
All right, standing only about a foot away from this, and we will go ahead and play it. All right, I'm about 5 feet away. About more like 10 feet away. More like 20 feet away. More like 40 feet away. Now this is getting to where we wouldn't be able to hear this very well at all if there was, say, like an air conditioning unit running or something right next to us. Okay, at this point we're probably like 60 feet away or so, and I can hear it, but it's definitely not very loud. And if there were any kind of noise next to me, say a water fountain or a air conditioner or something, you really would barely even be able to hear this. You may not even be able to tell what the music sounds like and be able to tell what song was playing, that kind of thing.
I don't know how well it's going to come through in the recording, but the bass response is decent. It sounds decent, but it's not great. It's you can see that in the specifications. It goes from 85 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and I have definitely seen speakers with much lower bass response and slightly higher treble response. So this thing does pretty well of sounding clear within that response range that it has, but it doesn't go super deep and it doesn't go super high. So this thing definitely doesn't sound as good as Ultimate Ears or Sony or Bose or something like that. But then again, this is a fraction of the price. So for me, a beater little speaker that I can take with me somewhere doing yard work or whatever, and I don't have to worry about it falling or getting wet or whatever because of the price, I'm actually pretty darn happy with this thing. So if you're in the market to get a Bluetooth speaker and you either are on a budget that you need to stick to a lower price, or you just want something that you can take outside or in a work zone or whatever and not have to worry about it getting damaged because you didn't pay a whole ton for it, then I think this thing is a great way to go. Just don't expect it to sound like a $200 speaker. I hope you found this video useful and interesting. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And please share this video with anyone who you think might need a cheap speaker to take out in the backyard or do whatever with. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.